Bad Life Podcast! You're listening to the Bad Life Podcast, your number one guide on how to run a profitable band. Here are your hosts, Pete Stannard and Adam West, the Wizard of Rock! Hello and welcome to the Band Life Podcast. I am Pete Stannard, your host, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, the Wizard of Rock himself, Adam West. How are you today, my friend?
I'm very good, Pete. Very good. Willing and raring to go.
Excellent. Right, I'm going to jump right into this because it is a big topic. It's part 2, episode 3, but part 2 of our AI debate, where we talk about the website called Suno, and we are going to do some live generating of songs, specifically metal songs and some sub genres of metal, and we're going to basically review and debate them. Will be the short.
Cannot wait.
Cannot wait. It's going to be
waiting for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting and exciting episode, I think. Very well worth listening to. So, should we dive straight in?
Let's go, boy.
Let's go for it.
We are going to produce a metal track right here, right now, live.
Yay.
And we're going to review it.
Okay.
See what it's like.
Well, this would be exciting. I've never done anything like this before. This would be cool. All right.
This is the first time for me as well. This is
I don't know how
for
this is
those
going to
watching
work.
on the YouTube. This is Suno, and this is the page. For those listening, I will describe it for you. Okay, so the page itself, you've got 2 modes to generate your music. You've got just a generic mode, I suppose you could call it, and you've got a custom mode. Okay, so what I'll do is we'll start with the generic one, shall we, and then we'll do a custom one and see if we can compare.
Yeah, let's do it.
I suppose.
Pretty excited about this.
Okay, so we need a song description. I'm going to let you choose the song description, Mr. West.
Ooh.
So their example is a powerful bluegrass song about wanting to be with you.
Bluegrass song. That's not metal, is it?
Well, I think for ours we're going to put. That's just the example that they've
Oh,
got
I see.
on
Okay,
screen.
right.
So let's say a metal song about. What's one of your songs about?
Emotions and I don't know, regrets, I suppose.
Emotional regret. Okay.
Don't have an instrument.
No, we won't do it instrumental. We want to hear the vocals.
This would be amazing. And that's it.
Create.
This is as easy as that.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, this is scary already. Just to think, like, man, see,
And that's it. It's doing its thing.
it's whizzing
There we
around,
go.
forged in regret.
Forged in regrets.
It's even got album
It's
artwork.
aggressive, intense. Yeah, it generates everything.
What? No way.
Whoa, hang on, that was quick.
Fuck, what was
Should we
that?
hear it?
Let's go. Man, see, that's pretty mad. I had no idea it was that easy and that fast. Now I haven't heard the track, and it's got lyrics as well. So that's just, I can't wait to hear it. It's gonna be crazy. I mean, just on the. Okay, ready?
You ready for it?
I'm ready
Okay,
for it.
here
Go
it
on. Man, that's insane.
That is
I am blown away.
it's pretty mad. That is,
Man, the fucking guy. That guy is. It's me saying guy. It's an AI. That is what. So that's definitely that's all AI. He hasn't pulled any information from the internet at all, other than just like.
no,
That is insane, man. How can you
nuts.
define?
And
That's a hell of a range.
well, yeah.
I mean,
but
you're a
I-
music producer.
I
What do you
can
think of that?
hear- I think the vocals. Yeah, I can hear the
Auto-tune?
auto tune
Ah.
on there. I think it's for me. It was massively overproduced.
Wow.
Because I can hear the compression, the limiting, the gates, and that sort of stuff. But to an untrained ear, no one's going to pick that up. And I've heard much worse on Spotify.
Wow.
To be honest with you, much worse.
That's
So
it's the scary, man. That is scary.
it is. Should we hear the other one?
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
another one produced.
Hang on, before you play it, what's
so it's just
interesting
loading
about the album artwork as well is that it's got. So what we're looking at there is a picture of some water with a sun setting in the distance and some trees and like a red transparent square around it, and the one above it is almost looks like a mirror. So in terms of like forged in regret, I suppose when people are feeling a little bit sorrowful and remorseful and regretful and all that stuff,
Yeah.
like that would probably be something good to look at, because it's very barren landscape when you're thinking, you're living with regrets. And so it's obviously used the language to try and come up with some sort of imagery to go along with it.
And the artwork.
And the artwork, it is compelling. It's like, that looks interesting.
Yeah, I mean that one with the mirror. Well, I think it's more like a window, isn't it?
Yeah, a window to regret.
It's quite Pink Floyd-esque.
Hang on. Can you? Oh, it's even put the lyrics up on there as well.
Yeah.
Well, can we have a look at that as well? Well,
scroll
for the viewers
You
watching,
can-
blood stains on my hands, remnants of a broken past, lost in sorrow and despair, regret consumes me. Well, there's a bit of hope there in the last line,
Yeah.
which I like.
There is.
I always do that with my own
I'm
music. I put sadness in, but
I'm
there's always
drowning
hope.
in this acid rain. Right. Okay. Should we
Go
give
on.
this other one?
Let's go.
This version.
Nice breakdown.
Yeah. It's really struggling in the vocals, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's where it's kind of like jolting.
Yeah, it's very.
It's very much sort of jumping around with its with the auto tune, just trying to sort of draw it.
It's.
Keep it on
I mean, even I could do that. I'm like, yeah, that's not been done very well. But
yeah,
it's got a very
But
James Hetfield feel
considering-
to it, hasn't it?
it does. It has a very Metallica feel to the vocals. But I think if you're doing this as an instrumental, and if a band came to me purely with an instrumental and just put a vocal over the top, I wouldn't think that this was. I would think it's just been an overproduced recording. I wouldn't have thought that this was AI generated at all. To be honest with you,
That's mental.
Um,
The first track
that's
was very
my-
hard. Yeah.
The first track, I preferred I think the first track was much better produced, shall we say, than the second.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But it's there. And I think the fundamentals are there, and it can only improve from here, which is this is a relatively new site.
what version is
so-
Suno running at currently?
I I couldn't tell you, but I mean they've got like beta stuff on here, so
Oh, okay.
I don't. This is all free. I've not paid for. All I've literally done is put my email address in. Do you know? So, and they give you like I've got 40 credit. I'm not sure how many credits you get.
Okay,
Or
so
what the arrangement is. So, but there's also the custom mode. So you can put. Looks like you can put your own lyrics in or make random lyrics. You can choose a style. You can extend the song, and you can unleash your creativity by letting your imagination run wild. Apparently,
I bet that's AI seeing as well, isn't it?
so
It's interesting.
should we randomly generate?
Yeah, 2 seconds. At the very top there, you've got aggressive, intense thrash metal for that track. Would you say that's a fair assessment to that? Pretty full on one, mate.
It was pretty full on. Especially the second one was a lot more aggressive than the first. But it was, I would say it was pretty aggressive.
Late at night, under the moonlight, whispers in the dark.
Yeah. So I've just generated that. That took under a second.
Oh, it's crazy, man. This is like a whole new ball game for me.
Yeah. So should we go? Let's go hard rock this time. Just to try and mix it up a little bit.
Wow.
And style of music. Let's just say hard rock and see what it comes up with.
I'm blown away, truly.
You could give it a title, Mr. West. What title would you?
So what is it? Hammer to the Heart. Try that.
Hammer to the Heart.
Yeah, that's a bit cheesy, isn't it? Cheesy hard rock.
Hammer to the Heart. Create. You're going to do us another 2 songs.
Wow, let's see what the artwork's like. Okay, that's interesting. Dreamscape purples and blues, sort of splattered paint. No, not splattered. Soft, spacey, sort of hippie-like colours there. It's just, mate, it could have it looks like a tripping experience, the artwork for that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Orange, purples, blues, spacey sort of colours. I suppose my argument is, okay, so you do this and you create a playlist, you stick it on Spotify, you generate an interest to your page, but you haven't written any of that, you haven't done anything to it, somebody else have, and that will probably stream a shed ton of listening views, if you like, and it'll also end up on the playlist, and you haven't done any work to it. But sure, here's the trouble with the algorithms. See, Spotify are going to know this, and so will the rest of them. They're going to go, yeah, we're stopping this. So then I'm like, so what was the point in the AI software that's just being, generated or even created there? It's, because, well, what good is it? It isn't.
I don't think, because I'm not sure Spotify have anything against putting AI generated music up. They obviously don't, because Endor were putting AI generated music up.
Yeah, but they'll soon have a problem with me or you doing it, because we're not the big eggs, are we?
Well, I can't see how you can have one entity putting AI up and one not. And plus TikTok, the reason Universal have pulled out of TikTok is because of AI generated music, and TikTok music is going to be hitting us quite soon, and TikTok really doesn't care.
I know it don't.
Music. They were happy to lose a big player in Universal Music. So you ready? Here we go.
Wow, I was waiting for the chorus then. Hammer to the heart.
It sounds like a heart song.
It's interesting. I wasn't expecting a female singer there. But I suppose
I
you've
think
got
because it's supposed to be a more emotional. It sounded almost like a hard ABBA song. I thought the vocalist sounded like the girl from ABBA, one of the girls from ABBA.
she
I can't
also
think of their names now.
she also sounds a little southern rocky as well. So it's got that accent in there too. So you could almost tell that what was coming next was that proper rock chick, look like hard as fucking nails, like, and like balls to the wall, tits to the wall job, like. I was waiting for the chorus
much
breakdown, like if it put in a hammer to the heart, you can imagine just sort of screaming that next bit, hammer to the heart. And I would have been like, oh, that's pretty cool.
That kind of darkness sort of thing going on. So there's the other one. Should we play the other one?
Oh, well, there's another one. Okay, go for it, man.
Yeah, it generates 2 songs per prompt. So
this is so much fun, actually. But it's also scary and crap, isn't it? That's my. That's fucking.
Come
on,
hear that in Eurovision.
Come on, let's get to the bones of it, because that's why we're here. Give me a professional expert opinion.
Potatoes.
Yeah, expert professional opinion on that track.
It's overly produced, and I think the vocals really let it down.
It is on the second
It's
track. It's
coming from-
interesting.
Yeah, the second. I think the first track generally, by the looks of it, tends to be the more precise, produced track. But again, even with the first one, I can hear the auto tuning and the rest of it, and I can hear the production. So when I first started out engineering, in particular, all the engineers said any production plugin like compressors, noise gates, limiters, that sort of stuff, that should never be heard. It was a no-no in the industry for that stuff to be heard. And obviously I'm going way back, going back like 15 years.
Yeah.
So that, and I can hear it, it's creeping in more, especially when we had the loudness wars. Do you remember those?
The loudness wars.
The loudness wars, yeah. Where music gradually got louder and louder and louder, and it got to a point where people were just going, engineers were going, we can't make it any louder than this.
Oh, yeah. Well, Metallica did it on St. Anger, didn't they?
Exactly.
Talk about peak.
Yeah, and they just try to get every decibel out of it. That's not so prominent now because Spotify and stuff, they keep everything at the same level anyway. But I tend to produce stuff a bit louder than what Spotify would like.
Yeah, we did, but they dropped all our music when we put it on there. They said it's the quality's too high. We're going to drop it. I'm like, okay, fine. And they dropped it. I'm like, so you got to buy the merch and the CDs, boys and girls. See,
exactly.
You got to buy me and Pete's music.
You got to consume your music elsewhere if you're the best quality, anyway. But certainly, I think if you did the instrumental on this,
sure.
Did some decent production on the vocals, no one's going to notice. I don't think. To the untrained ear, for someone not sort of sitting there, sort of listening out for it, if it's in a playlist and you're busy doing your work and stuff, you wouldn't notice it.
Right. Okay. I'm having fun with this. Right. So we've done the hard rock. We've done the thrash metal. Let's do a death metal one now. I'm intrigued to hear death metal.
You're intrigued.
Let's go
Just
through
the
a couple of.
generic death metal, or do you want more custom?
Well, let's make it more custom because we've done the two default generic stuff. And if I was a listener or watcher of this new podcast, I'd be intrigued to try a few other genres. So
Yeah.
let's.
Okay, let's do death metal. Do you want to regenerate the lyrics, or do you want? Do you have some lyrics we can put in?
Well, I mean, if I put
if you
if
have-
I put two lines in, will it generate the rest? Will it? Right. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna put some of our own lyrics into it. Let's try a song that I haven't written yet.
But you have lyrics for.
I have lyrics for it, yeah. Well, I've done a bit of music for it, so I'm going to give you. Unfortunately, I've got hyphens.
You won't have to after this. It's going to do it all for you.
But if it's death metal, you're not going to hear any of it anyway. It'll all be like. Generally, it works, isn't it?
We'll see. We'll see if it can AI scream.
Well, this should be
Or
bloody
it
cool.
just come out as digital noise.
Well,
Do you
interesting.
Is it what's the title of the song?
The title of the song is Godless.
Godless.
There we go.
Create. Here we go. You're gonna get 2 songs.
Wow. Well, obviously, we'll go for the
Give it a
first
little
one.
We'll go for the first. It's come up as a death metal thing, and it's having a long, hard think.
Oh, bloody hell. It doesn't give us any imagery yet.
Not yet. It's
Wow.
kind of warbling.
Interesting. Oh, here we go. Oh,
Oh.
I like that. And I say I might pinch that. Check it
I
out.
like that. It's
That's-
got angels and stuff on it.
Wow.
Oh, I know. I prefer that one with the
Ah,
devil.
me. Well, I'm guessing that's
That
Lucifer,
one
isn't
is
it?
very.
That is very ethereal, isn't it? Well, so we'll hang on before we play it. So the image we're looking at currently is a very sort of well, Pete's decided to click off in them. Right. Yeah. So right in the distance, it kind of goes to a point in the screen, and looks like God or Jesus there, right in the distance. And above are white angels, and
I
there's
think that's
pillars.
a woman.
It's hard to make out, isn't it? And there's
It's
lots
hard
of
to see because it's quite small, but I think I see breasts.
right, okay then. And then there's bodies on the floor of fallen angels, and it's got a very old Roman style looking effect to it with pillars. And that's a track called Godless. It's a death metal track. I've put my own lyrics in there, and we'll see how this sounds. The next imagery is that's a pretty crazy one, that is. Again, there's bodies and angels all over the floor, and it looks like what is to be Lucifer in the middle with all lights surrounding. It's very good artwork, mind, for a digital construct.
Yeah.
Can we bring the other one up a minute? The second track imagery? Or
There we go.
yeah, it looks like the fallen angels. Interesting, man.
Yeah.
See,
it's
and
got lots
this.
of bodies around it.
So here's the plus thing about AI, right? I know we kind of been slating it a little bit, but probably me more than anything. But what I like about it is that whatever the image it generates, you're going to be okay to use that, because every time you refresh, it'll generate a completely different image. Now, I do know with AI, it will pull things from the internet that it thinks will associate to what you're trying to say. So if you go, I want to create a zombie-like character, it'll give you like barren landscapes and stuff like that. So it is pulling some information from the internet, and that is interesting. Can you copy and download those images? I wouldn't mind having a closer look at them.
Something I have noticed on the download, there is an option to download a video,
Right. Okay.
but it's still kind of swirling. So we might need to give it a bit of time for it to generate the video.
Wow, a video as well.
so
Amazing.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine if that was all like moving slowly, like, you know?
Yeah. I'd be interested to see, because if you get the album, the album artwork, you get the music itself, and a video.
That's crazy.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
And this is a site called Suno, and all you have to do is put your email in and register, and basically you can generate your own music, your own lyrics, it generates the own artwork. Wow. And it only gives you about a minute worth of the track. That's crazy.
Yeah, but you can. There's an option. There's a button here to extend. So it's like the first bit. So you can extend it through. So when you sign up to it, I think you get like 50 credits, and I think each song, by the looks of it, is 5 credits. So now I'm down to 20 credits, but that's fine. But do you want to hear your next number one song?
Let's play the first one. Let's do it. I'm ready. Here we go.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Godless. Oh, nice.
Loving that breakdown.
All it needs now is a and we'll be there.
That's dark, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, it's got chugs and everything.
That's beefy as It's really nice. Nice.
Nice, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's back to the start. So he's got some really nice
wow
orchestration stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And I was expecting something a little bit unaudible, unmusical, especially with death metal. That's interesting. And obviously, I only give you a small section of the lyrics here, so it zipped through them quite quick. Well, that's cool.
That it did. So we've got the second one.
Okay, so we haven't had a very good turnout with the second ones, but let's give this a go.
The second one doesn't tend to be as good as the first, so my optimism isn't high, but here we go. Now that was messy going into that section, wasn't it?
That's nice, that melody there.
That yeah. Actually a nice dynamic.
Lovely. know it's coming, don't you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
I
How do you feel? Do you feel like you should just pack up and go home?
I tell you what it does. It does two things. It makes you look within yourself a little bit more, right? What you can already do. And then you hear an AI program going, right, I'm going to take everything that you've given me and I'm just going to make it better. Because there's no way I could probably play any of that. So, well, you know, because you're only as good as what you put into your music, guitar, drums, etc. That's obviously some high caliber musicians playing that stuff. If it was to be anybody real. But yeah, so he does one or two things. It kind of makes me look at it and go, I better up my game a bit, and I like, you know, if that's what you're competing against. And then the other part is like, well, that's extremely creative for what you've given it, which is very little. I only give it a verse. Obviously, that's why there's a lot of music at the end. So, and it was interesting how it used the lyrics in the riffs and the melody as well. Not quite so generic to the riff, which sometimes I do a lot of because it's hard to play and sing the technical stuff. But I'd guess if there was any people, I would say that was a 5-piece band. So you've got one singer, guitarist, bass, and drums. Probably 6 with the keyboards. It's amazing. It's just, it is. That's pretty amazing. I'm pretty blown away.
I think that's the yardstick that we're going to have to go from now. Because, I mean, I just did 6 songs in the matter of, I want to spend more time putting it onto here. Generating it, you know, so that everyone could hear it. So it's a powerful thing, I think. But I think it's one aspect from a much bigger package. Certainly in our world, in the rock metal, you know, especially when you get into the really subgenres like death metal and stuff like that. The audience expects live stuff. They expect all that sort of thing. So if you're generating it and you can't go out and play it live, do you have a career there?
No, you don't.
Is that you don't?
Check this out.
You're just putting stuff out.
With those tracks they were just generated, it took minutes. The longest part, like you said, took transferring the audio because we couldn't download the last 2. So, and that was only because like a buffering issue, I'm guessing. But so if you, in like the space of 10 minutes, you got a whole playlist of music that you could take to a show and then you play, well, that would eliminate any copyright issues at all, wouldn't it? So like when I was doing the vinyl nights, I couldn't play other musicians over a live stream with the bands because it would have been a copyright infringement and we would have got done for it. But if I generated that music as a playlist based on the bands that I had at the festival, there would be no issue at all. So there's a plus side to that. Because a lot of people be going, man, this is a cool band. Who's this? I'm like, it's AI. Nothing to do with me. But I
generated that.
But then
it depends on the other side. When you say about copyright, who does own the copyright? Do you own the copyright or does Suno own the copyright?
Well, it's a bit like any artwork I've been producing. You could say, well, who owns that? It's done through Power Director, but it's like, well, the image, and here's the thing, the image is of me and say my drummer, right? And all we did was generate an AI image of that. So the official image I own. So all we did was just add a filter, but the actual image that is based the AI artwork on comes from me. So the lyrics in this particular experiment that we've been doing, in that particular song we just heard, the lyrics I would own, the music I wouldn't, and neither would the artwork or the video. But I suppose a bit more digging really into this Suno AI program,
Yeah.
really. So should
So,
we should
do
we
you want to
read?
see? Do you want to see a video?
I will. We'll
I've
get.
just downloaded the video.
I can't wait. But
Uh,
let me just read over the site a minute, because I think people will be intrigued. Suno envisions a future where creating exceptional music is accessible to everyone. Whether you're a casual singer or a seasoned artist on the charts, we eliminate barriers between you and the musical masterpiece you aspire to create. No musical instrument is required, just your imagination. Transform your thoughts into music effortlessly from your mind to the melody. We're a Suno team. We're a collective of musicians and AI specialists situated in Cambridge, MA. Our founding team, proud alumni of groundbreaking tech firms such as Meta, TikTok, Kensho, is it? Collaborated before launching Suno. So you've got some big giants there.
some big alumni there. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a possibility that they could own some sort of rights to it. Then we thrive on coding, crafting music, and savoring coffee. Savoring coffee, okay. Our company ethos revolves around music and the exploration of sound, evident in everything from casual discussions during lunch to the creative hub in our office studio. Whether you embody these qualities or bring your unique perspective, we welcome the opportunity to connect with you. Now, there's a lot of small print I won't read out, but that's worth sticking people to read. Unleashing creativity, the power of bark and chirp, privacy and trust, terms and service. See, this stuff you should probably read, the future of music, because I imagine what it would say amongst all that would be, so we would own this, but we wouldn't own that, and because like I said, there's got to be something there. I mean, they created the AI program, so any money that I suppose better work the same way in Spotify does. If it creates enough of a listen, they get a percentage of it, because AI is doing all the work, and these guys just programmed it, didn't they?
Yeah. So we're just feeding in prompts. But and I suppose this is because I think it's quite a young website. I suppose technically all websites are young, but in the grand scheme of websites, this is quite young. So at the moment it's open source. I think at some point they're going to want people to pay for it, and I think the paid version is obviously going to have to be better than the free version. Otherwise, why would anyone pay for it? And I think that's where they're going to generate their money from. So they kind of get people hooked in free, and then they go, okay, you've had enough.
Well, Facebook doing it, haven't they? We'll get you all on you, the entire people of the world, and then we'll start changing the algorithms and telling you what we do, and what we don't want to see. And that's where
I'm interested to see this video. Do you want to see this video?
We've teased them enough. Let's give it a go.
Let's give it.
I got a funny feeling how it's going to work. And if it is, it's what I'm trying to do with something I'm working on.
Literally just like a lyric video, I suppose.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like what
With
Spotify does. Yeah. So nothing's moving,
Yeah.
it's just the background, is it?
Nothing's. Well, you've got the actual your lyrics are there that they.
Oh,
they
well, let's see how it pans out for a little bit. You don't have to play it all, but
to I'm a little bit disappointed. I was hoping that
yeah, it was moved like.
you know take this and move that around, but
There's some
I think
interesting.
if you wanted to just throw some snippet onto TikTok or YouTube Shorts or something like that, what, that sort of thing. It's a free download. Why not? It's one of those things, isn't it?
Speechless, man. If I'm honest, I quite.
I'm quite blown away by it, to be honest. Considering where it's at, I thought it would just be horrible, but it's not too bad.
This is a bit of a wake-up call for a lot of us musicians, I think. And this is why I was really excited to do this particular episode, because when you said about doing this particular song, look, I know things are progressing quite well, but you always expect something a bit shite because it's in its infancy. But this is like, it's taking it to another level. They really have, and because you're not paying for anything either, it's what that's produced is, I don't know what to. I am blown away. I don't know what to make of it because I think it's a little over what I'd expected it to be. So it's taken me back a little bit. But and as I say to you, it's concerning and also rewarding at the same time. It's put me in the middle a little bit with how do I feel about it? I don't know how I feel about it. I think, it really makes us musicians a little bit redundant when they perfect this craft. I mean, look at the AI that's going around on the TV now. There's one of Will Smith and Chris Rock talking. But when you look at it, like the eyes, you can't trick the eyes yet. Right? It's very, very difficult. We can usually decipher what's real and what's not. And I looked at it and I'm going, AI. Now, you can't instantly tell, but there is something there that your brain goes, it's not real. I don't know how or why it isn't, but I got a funny feeling it isn't real. And I looked at the comments, they're all saying the same thing. And I know they're using AI to artificially superimpose people and you only have to say, what is it, 30 seconds of speech, and they can completely remap you onto the internet. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like, so like what, where's it going and why? It's quite scary. It's quite scary.
And there's also like a dark side to it as well. There's a whole thing of criminals now. They generating AI voices and using the AI to phone people's parents to tell them that they've been kidnapped and they need to pay them and that sort of thing. I've heard that sort of thing. But that thing with Chris Rock and Will Smith,
you've seen it too, yeah?
Because there's I've not seen it, but I presume that the visual component there, we're much better with the visuals. So identifying that it's an AI as a visual thing, I think for us as human beings will be a lot easier than we will with audio. So I think this is going to progress even quicker than the visual stuff, because it's just a lot of it's going to slip under the radar because no one's going to know. This just is an MP3. I could upload this to Spotify today or to the DSPs today, and as long as the file types are right and the bit rate and the sample rate are there, there's no reason why it wouldn't get released onto Spotify.
I'm interested to know whether or not the beta version or the paid version of that program allows you to take those tracks individually and put them into a program yourself.
So you can mix it. That I think that will probably be the next things that you can get stems from it and download the individual. So maybe that's going to be the paid for version, so that you can mix and master your own and do it that way.
Yeah,
rendering is all completely obsolete.
The power of bark and chirp. All right, now listen to this. At the heart of Suno AI, it's AI models Bark and Chip. Bark, the vocal genius, adds soul-stirring melodies to your lyrics, while Chirp, the non-vocal maestro, weaves intricate musical tapestries. The result, a harmonious blend that showcases the potential of AI in crafting personalized musical compositions.
Yeah. And I think I think what it's going to come down to is craft. How good are you at your craft? And this is what I said when I said earlier, I think this might sort the men from the boys at the end of the day. And it's like when all the digital stuff came into studios and people like Lars Ulrich from Metallica went, we're not worried about it. We still do everything analog because we're good at our craft, and you can do all the digital stuff that you want. You're still not going to be Metallica at the end of the day, because we get into a room and we play, and it's us four playing our songs, and if you're good at your craft, you should shine through, because this is only ever going to be as good as what you've prompted it to do, and it's only ever going to draw from. I think at some point it'll probably get really good, and you can say, write me a Metallica song, or if you get really good, write me a Tool song, something like that. And it's got all the different time signatures and tempo changes and all the rest of it. But it will only ever be a facsimile of what you've put into it. It's never going to be something that is created by a human being that has that human touch. And
I agree.
Okay.
I'm interested,
You
Pete.
might get.
So
I'm interested in keeping an eye on it. But yeah, no, sorry, continue.
could we go back to it and see if there's any way we could do what you just suggested? Write us a Metallica song. It will know who Metallica is because it's pulling ideas from the internet. So if the internet is effectively the hive mind, like what's out of iRobot, a hive mind that basically controls the traffic, the whole shabam. The internet, I think, is starting to morph into one gigantic AI. And it is, a classic one, right? I think what AI is and the internet now are almost a replica of what Age of Ultron was in the Marvel's Age of Ultron. Because if you look at the storyline for that, they develop Ultron, an AI system that takes over, goes into the internet, pulls everything it needs to basically put its plan into place. And I'm like, well, isn't that what we're experiencing right now? Because with the image and the music, it's like, right, you want metal. It'll go to the internet and it'll go, right, what's regarded as metal? The first one's going to come up is either Metallica or Megadeth, right? Purely because they're the big guys. And he'll go, well, there's an idea.
Stuff,
yeah, you're right. And the same with any kind of...
but it's saying if it's got like the little question mark next to the style of music, and it says, describe the style of music you want, e.g. acoustic pop. Sono's models do not recognize artist names, but do understand genres and vibes. So you can't just put in, give me a Tool song or whatever, and it will generate that for you. But it will give you, if you said prog metal, it will give you something along the lines of Tool, for example. But I can see it being the future, of you just saying, generate me a Tool song, and it will. But the argument for that is that Tool already exists. So if you're writing Tool songs, why are you doing that anyway? Your Metallica already exists. Why are you writing Metallica? So let Metallica do that. Be your own band. Be you. And that, I think that's kind of the core of any artist, is if you're just producing something that someone's already produced, then you're not really coming up with original work anyway. And that's why this is going to flood it, because there's lots of people out there that will just be like, well, I can generate stuff like Ed Sheeran or Taylor Swift, and I can try and become a billionaire. And for me personally, as an artist, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and you're inhibiting true artists to actually make a living because of the oversaturation that you're putting to it. But the argument to that is, well, it's always been difficult. It's always been oversaturated. Ever since the digital formats became a thing, since the streaming sites became a thing, that has grown exponentially. And there's no way to gatekeep it. Pandora's box is open. So all I would do as a music artist is use this as a yardstick and go, okay, I've got to be better than this. And that's it. In the same way Eric Clapton said when he saw Jimi Hendrix, I'm going to have to learn to play guitar properly.
Well, I suppose I'd have a counter argument with that. I mean, when you say that's got to be the benchmark for everybody, I'm like, so we're using AI as a benchmark now for us to model ourselves off. And I tell you what I noticed with those tracks that they played, they were very generic and mainstream. I hear a lot of bands playing, I use mine as an example because I don't write like mainstream music, because I'm not into the mainstream music as much as most people. So I don't cater my music around that. I come up with a riff or a melody and I'll play what I think works with it and see what it develops. So for my music, it does sound a little. It doesn't fit the mainstream style, and this is the contention I have with a lot of music I hear today. It comes up on the recommended Spotify playlist. If I finish listening to an album, I'm like, okay, it sounds like the last track. Who is it? Never heard of them. Okay, next one, and nothing seems to pull me in. Occasionally, a song does. I'm like, oh, that's cool. What's that? Oh, okay, no problem. But and that's what I found with those. It's very samey to like. It's what you would expect a mainstream artist of a thrash metal or death metal band to play, I suppose. Even like down to the style of the vocals and the lyrics, because how I wrote those lyrics to go with the riff was a little bit stocky, and it was interesting how they took that and went, see how it sounds now, and I'm like, no, actually that probably sounds better. But is it, or is it the fact that it's because it fits with that genre of, or that style of how bands write? Like, if you're playing a dun 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 dun, you might sing to that riff. It tends to be a little bit dated now, right? So that's fine. So you try and sing over it, which makes it a bit harder then, because you kind of singing over the riff and you're not keeping in that metronome time. And that's something that progresses over time. What I noticed listening to that, it's what everyone is doing these days. And I'm like, okay, it's cool. Is it what everybody else is doing? And and I think it's probably why the music's so saturated, because we're at that point at the moment now where bands and like I see them when they drop their shorts and their videos, and I'm not really slagging off the death metal, but you get those heavy death metal bands and it's like the riff kicks in and then and you're like, okay, very predictable. And it's like, well, if we don't do this, we're not death metal. And you're like, okay,
And again, so this is what it comes back down to, the craft of it. And why would you want to pigeonhole yourself in that way? Like, just create music. I'm not, when I write a song, I'm not like, oh no, it has to be metal or it has to be rock or it has to be.
It's whatever flows.
Yeah, exactly. It's how I serve the song. When I'm writing a song, I write songs for me and I produce songs for the audience. So I'll have different versions, that will go on, like a radio edit or a Spotify edit and stuff like that. But I don't have like the main song. And if it's got a synth in there, I've got songs with organs and stuff in it. That's not metal. It's that sort of thing. It's not metal, but I don't care. I don't care what metal. It's just a name. It's just a category. As an artist, I'm just producing music. I'm writing music that I love and that I want to listen to. And if people like it, great. If they don't, well, they know.
Amen, brother. Amen. Gonna say that better myself.
It's what it comes down, and that's how you should write, and that's what's going to make the difference, I think, between the AI stuff and the human generated music. And if you're thinking along the terms of, oh, I'm going to write a metal song, then you're probably going to slip into that generic world that AI is now going to completely dominate, because it's going to become massively, massively saturated. If you come at it from a perspective of how can I make this song the best song it can be, no restrictions, nothing. If I want to put me farting into a can on it, as long as it's in tune, then that's what's going on. And it's one of those. And I have huge respect for people like Billy Corgan, for example, who from the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
I've seen him in interviews a lot, and he says, I can write the next Siamese Dream 2.0, or Melancholy, the Infinite Sadness, 2.0. But why would I have done it? It's done. For me, this is where the Smashing Pumpkins are now. If you don't like it, just listen to the old stuff. Don't come to the shows. I'm not doing this for that. Same with bands like Radiohead. Really, Muse. They go. The first couple of albums are very different from their latest stuff. Big respect to them for holding their own. I'm going as artists, just going. This is us now. We're not what we were in 1994. This is 2024.
Well, this is Anathema.
Whole other thing.
Anathema were the same. See, they went from being death, doom, to prog, cathedral type acoustic instruments, and it's good if you can navigate the genres without it sounding completely crap. Because I think sometimes bands, they go from one extreme to the next, and the drop is too much. So people are like, "Whoa, you gotta like wean into it slowly." Like when you try and wean off an addiction, you gotta, instead of just going, right, we're going from this pure death metal album to synth pop. You're like, that's not gonna work. Not with your fan base. You gotta like. So Paradise Lost have done it. They've gone from death doom to synth pop, back to death doom again, and you're like, wow, that they got it right. I personally think they got it right, and there's not a lot of people that tend to do that. And I think what Anathema did, they did a little bit about what you were just explaining there. They didn't gradually do it, I don't think. They just took a dive bomb, and everything became very melodic and prog, and it's beautiful. But it was nothing heavy anymore. A bit Opeth with another one. Most of the albums now are all oddly different. And I'm like,
Opeth,
they've
very, but I think so. To bring sort of bands that are a bit more mainstream, like Radiohead, like the OK Computer, and then Kid A came out, and it's very different. It's all synths and all stuff. And from memory, when it first came out, the guitarist Johnny Greenwood was like, we've forgotten how to do this stuff. We just don't do it anymore. We don't do the bends stuff, the harder rock stuff, Creep. We're fed up with playing
and
these types of songs. And it's one of those things that I think as an artist you should have some kind of evolution. Otherwise, you're just banging out the same sort of stuff all the time, and you have to be willing to take a hit on the fan base and go, okay, you're kind of rolling the dice a little bit and hoping that you'll find a new fan base. And sometimes that's what's needed to keep things fresh as an artist. And the master of that. Look at David Bowie. He was the master of changing things up all the time. Even within albums, very different styles, different songs going from one album to the next. But he retained his fan base in a way that I don't think anyone else has been able to do.
quite clever.
The guy was a chameleon, going from Ziggy Stardust into David Bowie himself, and then all the stuff that he went through, from the 70s into the 80s pop, from 70s rock into 80s pop into 90s pop, and then before he sadly passed away, that last album was very ethereal, and very quite dark electronica sort of thing with these elements of rock, things like that. For me, I think from that perspective, from that artistic perspective, the guy was a genius at the end of the day, and he stuck to his guns. And I think a lot of, especially his fan base, appreciated that, and they expected that from him as an artist. And if you can do it and pull it off, go for it. But it's these sorts of artists that I think are going to win this. If it's going to be an AI war between human artists and AI artists, they're the ones that are going to be on top of the pile at the end of the day. And like I say, I think it is going to separate people who produce what would be considered generic music and those who produce music that are going to be a lot more well crafted and well created, and have that human connection. You're going to have a human connection now. If you don't have it, forget it.
Pros and cons. So we've probably got more cons than we have pros.
I would at the moment, yeah, and I think generally speaking, it's from an industry perspective is going to be sort of. That's why the con list, things like the oversaturation stuff, the way the royalty system is at the moment. I think especially for sync licensing and stuff like that, it's going to dramatically hit composers in things like the gaming industry, the same with the film industry, and things like that. I think people like Hans Zimmer and the Danny Elfmans of the world, they're going to be all right, but sort of up and coming composers, they may struggle depending on how this sort of stuff. I did see a classical section on that Suno things, which might be an interesting listen. Not right now, I don't think. And I think the other danger is the people at the top. They seem to be, again, with a disruption piece of technology, they seem to be sitting on their hands and seeing where it can go and what sort of profit they can make from it, as opposed to kind of thinking along the lines of, well, actually, we have the power to do something and we want to protect smaller artists, but we don't really care about them.
I think if I think we're honest, that's the long and short of it, isn't it?
Okay, Adam, do you want a little tease for the next episode number 4?
4 already?
4 already? I know, we're running through these like we're cooking with gas.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
So, definitely. We are going to do what I think is a fundamental thing that all music artists need, and that is to have a music business mindset. And that's going to be the subject of episode 4.
I am ready and willing to go.
You're raring to go on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always raring to go. You know me. It's a learning exercise for me.
You are a have-a-go hero.
Well, I hope it's the case for everybody else. I mean, we've had a few interesting topics, but as you said before, I think the whole point of one of the reasons why we're doing this is to educate the fellow musician on some of the things they might not be privy of, which you'll be able to help with. So I'm here to learn too.
You're here to learn. Excellent. Yeah. And this one's actually really quite important because this is the foundation for everything. So I feel like we're going to be referring back to this episode number 4 quite a lot throughout our educational stuff that we do.
Absolutely.
We're going to be going, go listen to episode number 4 because that is basically the foundations of what we're talking about. So
having a music business mindset, right?
Yeah, music business mindset is going to be the title of that one. So subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast or view your podcast, because then you can get notified as to when all of this stuff comes out. So massively important you do that. And it helps us as creators to help the algorithm know that we are actually exist.
Indeed.
As human beings. Bad Life Podcast!